on the subject of getting defensive in your relationships, regardless of whether it is platonic or romantic. It was, I don't remember when it was, but I think it was like 2017, 2018. This was before I started learning about Freudian psychology and, well, really diving deep into the fabric of defense mechanisms and everything. But it's fascinating because, looking specifically at like projections and displacements, these are two things that I would argue have a lot to do with what create defensiveness in relationships, or what it is that kind of provokes defensiveness to arise, right? What I've noticed is that when defensiveness arises in relationships, it usually has nothing to do with the person that's getting defensive, but they're getting defensive because they feel attacked, right? You defend because you feel attacked, right? And I'll probably make an entirely other video, or I should say an entirely different video on the subject of relationships, simplification of relationships, what relationships require in terms of needs. Like, as I've grown in relationships, aside from like learning not to get defensive, which I'm still learning, of course, I'm actually learning that it's like relationships, it's not that they're simple, but I would say that they're not as like complex as we've learned to believe that they are, right? And do you get defensive? You maybe do. You probably do. Do you have to? I don't think you do. And it's fascinating too, because like when you're caught up in the heat of the moment and you're being attacked, there's a fucking heat-seeking missile launcher coming straight at your fucking being, right? Somebody is right, and you're like, holding up your fucking shield, defending yourself, it's fucking all of that shit. It's fascinating to me how often all a person really needs to do is just relax, take a breath, just be present with themselves, and then kind of like wake up from the slumber of thinking that they need to be in defense mode. All that I believe is really required is just awareness, right? Usually whenever two people come together, I mean, don't get me wrong, of course, in terms of the broad sense and why people come together to form relationships, I mean, usually the reason why people come together to form relationships is because they need things from each other, right? And so if a person is getting defensive in a conversation or an argument or whatever it is, right, it's likely because they're being thrown at, something is being thrown at them by the other person, and maybe the other person, what they want to do is communicate a need, but what they're doing is attacking instead. Maybe they're like, you never do this for me, you never do that for me, right? And it's an attack, and maybe it's even a projection or a displacement from something else, right? Maybe they're triggered by something, right? But it's fascinating because what's really happening is that they're communicating something based on a need. Probably. I mean, I'm sure maybe there could be something else, but like at the bottom, foundational, like just at the fucking floor of it, there's a need. Why else would they be with the person? They're with them because they need something. They're trying to create something with them, right? And so not only is it probably not personal, the attack that is triggering the defense, right? But is it not a need, right? And so then, therefore, like, if you can, like, take a second and just, like, literally slow time down, which is not possible, but just be there with them in the moment and, really just listen, right? Probably, unless you hurt them, like, unless you genuinely hurt them, which then, therefore, you should apologize for, but unless you hurt them, it's probably not personal, and trying to hold up the shield and be defensive is probably not necessary. So what else is there? To listen. Yeah, to listen. And to understand that it probably doesn't have anything to do with you, and that if you do listen, and if you care about the person, which you probably do because you're there listening, then it's likely that what you need to do is take care of or cater to a need, right? All right, they need something. Maybe they don't feel heard. Maybe they don't feel appreciated. Maybe they don't feel loved. Maybe they feel like, and it might be true, that you haven't followed through with something that you said that you would, and that made them feel inadequate, or, you know, made them feel like they weren't shown up for, if that's even proper English. It makes them feel like you didn't show up for them, and that hurts them, which of course, obviously, right? Emotional abandonment, shit, I've had like 2 PhDs in emotional abandonment at this point. I have totally not followed through for people that I've deeply cared about, and that hurts. When you don't follow through with somebody, it fucking hurts. Follow through for somebody, right? But yeah, when you get defensive in your relationships, this is like either at the step of a bomb or like footsteps before a bomb could potentially go off. Everything that I've learned, and I'm not here to say that relationships are easy. I'm not here to, you know, play the card that like, oh, it's actually a lot easier. When you're in the heat of a moment and you're, you know, fucking swallowed by emotions and everything, it's really fucking hard. It really is. It really is. And when they're coming at you with these fucking heat-seeking missile launchers that'll fucking follow you out the door when you say, you know what? I'm going to go for a walk. I can't do this right now. And then you start to walk away, and then they're like, yeah, go ahead. Walk away like you always do. What? Right? And just like, it just gets to be a fucking shit show. Take a fucking breath. And if you're the only one taking a breath, just be the only one taking a breath. It's important that at least one person is calm, right? And if one person can walk away and not get sucked into whatever, you know, like, oh yeah, walk away like you always do, don't get sucked into it. You actually don't need to get defensive. Once you realize that like the thing is probably not about you, then you don't need to hold up the fucking shield. You can put it down, you can relax, you can take a breath, you can just like, you know, just be present and listen to what they're saying. Again, whatever it is that they're saying is not about you. It isn't. It might be, and if it is, be aware of that and sincerely apologize accordingly, right? If you care about the person, you know, do that. But if you can discover that it's not about you and this person just had a shitty-ass day at their fucking job that they hate, where they're fucking locked inside of a, you know, a cubicle for fucking hours at a day, have compassion that they probably hate their job and their boss is an asshole and they're just not having a good day, right? And so they're on the fucking edge, right? Just being present. What I'm really trying to present here is just, you know, understanding how unnecessary it is to get defensive. Because if you can, I'll bear with me. Getting defensive actually doesn't help. If you can replace getting defensive, by the way, I've been watching some videos by Jimmy on relationships. He's wonderful. If you can replace getting defensive with just fucking listening and understanding what's there, right? You can change a lot, right? Just listen. They're communicating for a reason. And then, like, you know, if you can, like, break it all down and be like, hey, listen, I understand that you're going through a lot. I understand that you feel this way. And then, like, reflect on yourself, right? Really just, like, reflect on yourself and, like, how maybe you've contributed to how she's feeling. If you haven't, then just being with the person. And I'm not trying to say, like, she is, implying that it's solely romantic relationships. This is for all relationships. You're gonna fuck up things in your friendships. You're gonna fuck up things in your romantic relationships, or you're not going to, and your friend or your partner is going to come at you with some shit that has nothing to do with you, but they're triggered, and just listen. Just listen. Being present with a person when they have presented their heart to you, and just listening and not getting defensive, and just listening and seeing it for what it is, that changes so much. And I'm learning that right now at this point in my life, and I'm grateful to be learning that, because that's really fucking humbling me. There's just a good chance that it has nothing to do with you. That's great. Still listen. If it does have something to do with you, be sincere to apologize, and just take it from there. I just want to make it real clear that I'm not trying to be somebody that I'm not. I don't. Yeah. Anyway, I am being exceedingly humbled at this point in my life. I'm learning a lot about myself, about relationships, about relationship dynamics, about healthy relationship dynamics. I'm recognizing all of the unhealthy elements that I have contributed in my relationships, and what has made them the way that they've been. And what I've learned is that it doesn't matter if it's a friend or if it's a romantic partner. I'll make this very clear. If you want anybody to feel safe with you, be present with them. Listen to them. Validate them. Validation is so important. Validating emotions. Empathizing with them. Having compassion for them. Listening to them. Striving to understand them. Not taking things personal unless for whatever reason it does become personal, or you did do something to hurt them, and apologizing and everything. I'm so grateful to be at this point now where I'm being humbled and just realizing that I've fucked up so much in my relationships, right? And a lot of it has had to do with how I communicate or how I don't communicate. It's important to feel safe with people. It's really important to feel safe with people. People are like flowers. I'll use this metaphor to end off here. People are like flowers, right? And they need, flowers need certain things to bloom, to blossom, right? To open up, to expose themselves, to be vulnerable, right? And if they're not provided with those crucial necessities, they can't do that. So you're not really going to have a relationship with them. And that's just the reality of it.